2015. A journalist at the Wall Street Journal receives a tip he can't ignore. Theranos, the most valued medical startup in Silicon Valley, claims it can run more than 200 blood tests from a single drop from your finger. No large needles. No conventional laboratories. Results in hours. A technology that would change medicine forever. Except there's a problem. His sources are saying something different. The technology doesn't work. Not that the results are slightly imprecise. The company knows the results are unreliable and is using them anyway. On real patients, with real medical decisions at stake. A company valued at $9 billion. The youngest person ever to appear on Forbes' list of the world's most powerful women. And a technology that never existed. How did no one see it? The origin to understand Theranos, you have to understand Elizabeth Holmes. She grew up in Washington, D.C., the daughter of federal government officials. From a young age, she had one fixed idea. She wanted to be the next Steve Jobs. Not as a metaphor. Literally. She studied Jobs. Copied his style. The black turtlenecks. His way of speaking on stage. She enrolled at Stanford at 18 to study chemical engineering. And in 2003, at 19, she dropped out. Not because she failed. Because she wanted to build a company. The idea was simple and audacious at the same time. Millions of people avoid blood tests because of a fear of needles. Others can't access diagnostics because of cost or distance. What if you could run those tests from just a single drop of blood from your finger? Fast, cheap, painless, available to anyone, anywhere. That vision had a name, Theranos, a contraction of therapy and diagnosis. The problem was that no one in medicine believed that technology was actually possible. But Holmes didn't tell anyone that. The ascent what Holmes did know how to do was convince. Her first investor was Don Lucas, a mentor to Steve Jobs himself. Then came Tim Draper, one of Silicon Valley's most influential venture capitalists. And then came the board of directors. George Shultz, former Secretary of State. James Mattis, four-star general. Henry Kissinger. Figures who didn't understand medical technology, but who lent enormous institutional credibility to any company they appeared in. Holmes chose them deliberately, not to oversee the company, but to legitimize it. The valuation grew. First $100 million, then $1 billion. By 2014, $9 billion. Holmes appeared on magazine covers. Fortune, Forbes, Time. And in 2013, she closed the deal that would transform the scale of the fraud. Walgreens would install Theranos kiosks in its stores. Suddenly, the technology that didn't work was available to real patients in thousands of pharmacies. And no one had verified that the results were accurate. The illusion the device was called Edison, a machine the size of a printer that supposedly ran hundreds of tests from just a few drops of blood. The problem was that Edison couldn't do what it promised. Many tests required blood volumes that a single drop simply couldn't provide. Miniaturization created interference. Results varied at unacceptable rates. What did Theranos do? It diluted the samples to increase volume. That introduced additional errors. And for tests Edison simply couldn't run, it used conventional machines from other manufacturers. But results were reported as if they came from Edison, as if they came from Theranos' revolutionary technology. Employees who raised concerns were silenced or fired. Theranos operated under a culture of absolute secrecy. Workers couldn't speak across departments. They signed extreme non-disclosure agreements. Inside the laboratory, technicians knew the results were inconsistent. Outside the laboratory, patients were making medical decisions based on those results. Some received incorrect HIV diagnoses. Others received false cancer positives. The defective results were not a side effect of the fraud. They were the fraud. The investigation in 2015, journalist John Carreyrou began investigating Theranos for the Wall Street Journal. It wasn't easy. Theranos had David Boies, one of the most feared attorneys in the United States, sending intimidation letters to anyone who spoke to Carreyrou. Former employees who cooperated with the journalist received legal threats. Some recanted out of fear. But Carreyrou kept going. Source by source, document by document. On October 16, 2015, the Wall Street Journal published his investigation. Holmes responded publicly. She said Carreyrou was wrong, that the technology worked, that the attacks were meant to block innovation. Some believed her. The regulators didn't. The collapse the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services sent inspectors to Theranos laboratories. What they found was serious. Inadequate quality control practices, inconsistent and unreliable results. A laboratory that failed to meet basic federal standards. In July 2016, regulators took an unprecedented step. They banned Elizabeth Holmes from operating clinical laboratories for 2 years. Walgreens suspended its agreement. Safeway canceled theirs too. The $9 billion valuation collapsed. Employees lost their jobs. Investors lost their money. And the patients who had received incorrect results still didn't know how many there were or what medical decisions they had made based on them. The system in June 2018, Elizabeth Holmes and Ramesh Balwani, Theranos president, were formally charged with fraud. The trial began in 2021. Holmes defended herself by saying she believed in the technology, that this was not fraud but optimism badly executed. The jury didn't find that sufficient. In January 2022, she was found guilty on 4 counts of fraud. In November 2022, she was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison. She entered prison in May 2023. But the question the Theranos case leaves is not about Elizabeth Holmes. It's about the system that let her go this far. A board full of powerful figures who never asked to see the data. Institutional investors who trusted the narrative without verifying the science. Corporate partners like Walgreens who signed multi-million-dollar deals without a single independent technical audit. Regulators who took years to intervene. Why? Because in Silicon Valley, the narrative always came first. Fake it till you make it. Move fast. Break things. The product can be broken if the vision is big enough. That philosophy works when the product that doesn't work is an app. It doesn't work when the product that doesn't work is a medical diagnosis. Theranos was not just the fraud of a charismatic founder. It was the result of an ecosystem that rewarded story over evidence, access over diligence, and speed over verification. In medicine, that equation has real consequences, real patients, real diagnoses, real harm. $9 billion. 1 drop of blood. And the technology never worked.